What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to set your environments up so they're peak productivity environments? Most people have no clue how to do this. Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. Normally, it's $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to the Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up? It's Kyle once again with episode number 90 of the Unlocking Your Inner Strength Show, coming at you from my studio, aka our dining room. And today, got a few cool things to go over with the brain. And the first thing, I'll kind of start reverse today, goes to intermittent fasting and one of the understood aspects of it. So lately I get the question a lot, well, what about fasting? What about calories and all this type of stuff? One of the great things about intermittent fasting, which I'll explain my approach to it in a second, is that you have a lot more leeway. Let me explain. As your day goes on, your willpower is going to go down. Willpower is based in the prefrontal cortex. Okay, this part of your brain, front of your head. And that part of your brain literally runs off of glucose. So when that's burnt up, when that's used up, willpower's gone. You got to sleep and recharge and rest in order for that part of your brain to replenish. So many people will say, I don't know, I know I shouldn't eat this stuff after work, but I get home and I'm tired and I go ahead and eat it. Part of that stress eating part of it is also tied into a lack of willpower at that point in time. So if you know your willpower is going to be lower later in the day, you should do stuff early in the day when willpower is high. Now, if we're just looking at calories, and it goes way deeper than that, as I've talked about in the past, but most people understand calories. If I was getting an intermittent fast for the first part of the day, so I'm doing my 16-hour fast, 20-hour fast, whatever it is, later on in the day, I have a lot more leeway with how much food I can eat, with staying within my budget. And it's not hard in the beginning of the day. End of the day is when people typically struggle with nutrition. So willpower is something you really have to look at. And you got to use it to your advantage. So fasting early on is going to allow you more leeway later on in the day as far as what you can take in. Or if you have an event, if you're eating out or whatever. But it works hand in hand. There's so many good aspects of intermittent fasting. Another word on willpower before I move on to the main topic of the day is that most people don't use their willpower. They go through their daily routine. They go to their 9 to 5. They go to their whatever they have to do, come home, veg out, chill out, repeat. They're not trying to extend themselves at all. Therefore, most people are not using their willpower at all. Willpower needs to be used when you're doing something extra, typically. Routine is something that routine and habit that you don't really have to put much thought into. Initially, you do. That's where the willpower comes into play, and that's why I'm telling you this. Knowing that most people do not use their own willpower, why don't you use their willpower? When I first decided to compete in bodybuilding, I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I would tell everybody, my inner circle, my friends, my family, people I worked with, that I was going to be doing a bodybuilding show. In hindsight, what I was doing is I was using their willpower. If I told everybody what I was going to be doing and kind of put myself into the corner, painted myself into a corner, I knew they would ask me throughout the process how it was going, if I was getting ready for the show. And they would ask me frequently, how's the diet going? How's the training going? So all these people were asking me how I was doing, and I knew there was no way I could back out then. And I knew my willpower, if I didn't tell anybody, it'd be very easy to say, this sucks. 6 weeks in, I'm just going to not do it, and nobody will ever know the difference. But I used other people's willpower. And there's a whole theory with that, with people, with dudes that are in jail, why they can get so jacked on crappy food and whatnot. It's because they don't need any willpower. They can focus on recovery. They can focus on their training. But they're not spending it on other things throughout their day and then deciding whether or not they should go to the gym. If they have time for an hour of recreation, they're hitting the weights hard. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to set your environments up so they're peak productivity environments? Most people have no clue how to do this. Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. Normally, it's $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. All right, let's move on to the main topic for the day. Now, I've talked before about the brain, how logic and emotion don't mix. Emotion is seated more so in the mammalian part of your brain, your midbrain. So you have the reptile brain, mammal brain, human brain, right? The triune brain theory. So within the mammal part of the brain, more so is where the emotional centers are. The human part of the brain is where logic and forward thinking and self-actualization and goal setting lies. If you're overly emotional, your logic is going to be all over the place. There is going to be no logic, I should say. If you're overly logical, like type A and anal retentive, your emotion is going to be very flat. And you're going to know that, or people are going to know about you that you're not very fun, you don't smile often and whatnot. So whenever we get into a situation, if you're emotionally unsure about a certain situation that you're trying to move towards or work around or figure out, and emotion is not there, then use superior logic to move yourself forward. Get out pen and paper, journal about it, map it out, use logic when you just can't get the emotional muscle to start clicking with something. When logic isn't there, you don't know how you're going to do something, and emotion is high, then use that to your advantage. Be overly optimistic in certain situations. Believe when you can do something, even when you have no idea how you're going to do it and whatnot. When I was at Vince, who's one of my mentors and who's coached me for a long time in business, at his mentorship in the fall, he had me and my buddy Brandon on the expert panel. And I remember Vince said, can you tell everybody, and these were people that owned small, like boutique-like gyms throughout the country. Some of them were just starting out. So can you tell them what is your main quality that's helped you succeed so far? And without hesitation, I said it was just this ability to be overly optimistic and believe that I can do stuff that nobody else believed. And I've always been that way. I always knew that if I had the belief, things would happen because I would figure them out. I do think it's, especially when you're starting out, more important to have the emotional side ramped up than the logical side. And this can go back and forth like a ping pong match. But too many people let the logic get in the way of their dreams. They want all the lights to be green before they even take a step. And that's not going to happen. So again, this goes back to mind mapping. If you know the way your brain works, you can use it to your advantage. Knowing that emotions and logic don't mix, like oil and vinegar, use that to your advantage. When you're communicating with people and they're overly emotional, just know that, hey, I'm going to back off here because anything I'm going to say is not going to make sense. And further, if they haven't asked me for my advice, it's going to be rejected by them. It's going to make them more emotional. But use superior logic to overcome flat emotion and use superior emotion to overcome areas where there's a lack of logic and you just don't know what the next step is and you don't know how to do the thing and whatnot. And I'll leave you with this. I still go through this all the time where I'm thinking about doing something. And for me lately, it's been my online Rip Dads coaching program. I've had everything lined up for a while. I've been talking about this for a while. And for some reason, I just have not taken the action to actually launch it. And I said this morning when I was journaling, what's actually going on here? What am I scared of? Why am I not taking action? Is it the judgment? Is it people rejecting me? And who cares if it is? I don't even know these people. And there's no logical reason. Emotionally, I bought into, hey, this might not be good enough yet. Or I need to do all these different things before I can launch this. Lights don't have to be green before you take a step. That's all I have for you for episode 90. Hopefully something resonated within this episode. Please share these episodes with a friend or two. You can just click the share button in iTunes. You can text message it to them. If you have not left a review yet, please do so. That helps me out greatly. If you like the show, leave it 5 stars. Type something nice. That would help me out. And I'll be back next week with episode number 91. And until then, peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.